Hello everyone. Sorry I'm just a couple of minutes late. I made a rookie mistake. I was sitting here playing around with the camera settings over here and decided I was done with the camera settings and everything was going to be fine. And then I was looking around for my little name cards. They didn't have them. I thought I had cut these earlier. But I look over and there's a full sheet of name cards sitting there waiting to be cut, so I had to cut them before I could come live. So here I am, ready to go on the long lost and finally ready to show 1954 D-roll. This is the 1954 D-roll. This is an original Fed Reserve roll from Cleveland. So let me go ahead and get it open. It definitely has toning at this end, so we've definitely got an end roll toner. I don't know what else we're going to end up having, but we've definitely got an end roll toner on this one. This one came from a very old friend of mine who we have done dealings in coins together for probably 15-20 years now. Came in from Arkansas. So this roll was part of an estate that I believe was in eastern Oklahoma. So exactly how and why a roll from Cleveland made it to eastern Oklahoma, I don't know, but I can tell you that I'm in North Carolina, and I've got a whole bunch of rolls from Louisville, Kentucky that I can answer for exactly why they are from Louisville. Because I got them from Illinois. They got them from Kentucky, which isn't very far away. This is a very different kind of wrapper. I have not seen one of these before. Let's see what we got here. They look pretty nice. Oh yeah, these are fine. These appear to be good coins. Alright. So they are just a little bit brown on the edges, and that's because of the paper, but the coins themselves are nice bright red coins. I'm going to go ahead and get started now. I'm going to say hello to my folks. I've got Eric Beyer, Joe McBride, Techstar, Farm Dog, Jeff Dunn, Yo Mango, Thomas, Scott Hall. Got a bunch of you here. Did I say Jeff Dunn? I think I said Jeff Dunn. Hello, Jeff Dunn. Who else we have up above? There isn't anybody else above. Oh, wait. I'm on top chat. Let me go over to live chat so I can be sure I see everything, and then I'll get started. All right, here we go. First person out of the bag this time is Deanne. Let's see what Deanne ends up with. Oh, she's got a really nice toner on the other end over there. But this one was obverse in, so this side wasn't as much affected as the other side. They are toned down just a little bit. Got nothing on this particular coin. 1954D is just about like the other issues in the 1950s. I'm looking for, look at the color on this thing. A fantastic color. I'm looking for RPMs. I'm looking for doubled eyelids. I'm looking for anything doubled around the motto or around Liberty on the obverse. And on the reverse, I'm typically looking for class 2 or class 6 doubling around the edge of the design. This is a very nice coin, but it doesn't have anything particular on it, so other than the toning. So that's coin number 1 there for Deanne. Let's move on to coin number 2. Hello, Coin Junkie. And Randy, how are you doing, buddy? All right, Shannon McCord comes second. Shannon McCord, second coin in the roll. Let's see what we have here. I believe there is a split in that lower serif there. This is, I believe, an RPM. Let's go ahead and zoom in and see. Take a good look at it. Get a good look at yourself. There we go. So we do have a double split serif RPM here. We need to get a marker on this. You can see the split on the lower and the upper serifs. There's a little bit of a bang up on the top surface of the RPM, but you can definitely see that split lower serif and the split upper serif. So let me back out on these a bit. Take a look around and see if we can find a good marker to use to find other examples of this particular RPM later in the roll. Let's see what we have. Well, there's a pretty heavy little mark, it appears. Let me test this with a Q-tip. All I have to do is just barely rub it and see if it moves. It did not move. That is, I believe, a little die marker between the 1 and the chin. Definitely have another one out in front of the mouth area. Let's see if we got something easier and better to use. And what I say by better, I mean markers that are very obvious, that don't move, and that don't go away easily. And I see like there's a pretty heavy die scratch underneath the E of we, but that one could go with a very minimal amount of die aging. This one appears to be our best and our strongest for now, so we've got that little die scratch mark, little die gouge actually, between the 1 and the chin. And we'll use that as our marker for this minor repunchment mark, which is going to be die 1 for the roll. That goes to Shannon McCord. Let's take a look on the reverse real quick and see if there's anything on the reverse worth talking about. Mostly 1954D is going to be pretty bare on the reverse with regard to any die varieties, anything doubled or anything to that effect. Hello, Andy. Okay. Coming out from under the scope. Coin number 2. Shannon McCord, die number 1. And we move on. Onward and forward. T2. Thomas. Coin number 3. This is coin number 3 in the roll. Thomas just showed up in the nick of time. What do we have here? Well, we have another repunchment mark. This one is a little better than the last one. It's closer to the date than the last one. This is not the same die that we just saw. On this one, we actually have a pretty decent die marker in a die dot, pretty heavy die dot on the vest. It's actually 2 little die dots together. Let's see what else we have for markers. If we have anything else on the obverse to use, I always like to have a secondary marker that I know is a good one. What do we have there? Is that a double die lid? Do I see a double die lid? Let me check. Get all that fuzzy wuzzy was off there. Boy, that's really hard to tell. Really hard to tell. I don't think it is, though. Yeah, I'm going to call it not a double die lid, and I'll look at it with the other scope later and see if it is. If it is, I'll definitely get it listed as such. But we have ourselves a second RPM, and it's those 2 dots that you see right in the very center of the screen right now that are to the southwest of the D mint mark, right on the vest, right on the front of the vest. There's 2 dots right next to each other. I'm going to use those as my marker for this particular die. And we're going to call this die number 2 for the roll. Die number 2 for the roll now. A minor RPM. Let's take a look at the reverse and see what we have on the reverse. And I don't right off the bat see anything. Nothing on the reverse. So I'm going to move on to coin number 3. Coin number 4, move on to coin number 4 now. Paul Hampton will get coin number 4. Let's take a look at coin number 4 and see what we have. Well, we have another RPM, and this one is even different from the others because this one actually has a mint mark to the south. It does not have the little markers in the vest. It does not have the little marker between the 1 and the chin, so we have a different die again here. Somebody might want to take a look at this one and see if it's listed. I'm sure it's listed. It's a D over D over D tilted in south. So we definitely have a good one there, and this one's for Paul Hampton, and I did spell his name properly this time around. This, unfortunately, last roll I got him in there as Hatmaton, which I have no idea what a Hatmaton is. The name is Hampton. Sometimes my little fingers don't pay attention to me, and they don't do the same thing I like to do, which is type and spell things properly. I'm having a little bit of trouble finding a marker for this. Of course, in this roll, I'm not sure I'm going to need a marker because, I mean, this is a pretty nice RPM. It's a pretty obvious one. We'll just go with the fact that we have that big bump below the mint mark, which tells me it's another D. And we're going to go with that as our marker. The RPM itself is going to be the marker. So let's flip it over and take a look at the reverse and see if anything happened on the reverse worth talking about. And I don't see anything here yet. You'll notice that as I'm looking at coins, I typically tend to do it about the same way every single time. And the reason for that is it's a habit. You like to build good habits because good habits produce results. So that's going to be die number 3 for the roll. Which one, Eric? Oh, RPM 2? Okay. Well, I will make sure that I find markers. If that is RPM number 2, I will make sure that I find markers to list with it. So we've got Yo Man Gull now. We got 3 RPMs, 3 different RPMs in a row. Let's see what we find with this one. This one is an RPM. It does have a lower split serif. It's not much of an RPM, but it is one nonetheless. I don't see anything else, and this one tends to be a little messed up. The top serif is split just a little bit too. So let's see if we can find a marker. There's a throat clash. I call him a throat clash, and every time I call him a throat clash, it reminds me of Jessica. Now her eyeballs are huge, and she's like, what is he talking about? She talks about wanting to throat punch people that make her mad. She says, I just want to throat punch him. Well, there's a throat punch, a throat clash right there. And the South D does disappear with dieware. That could very well be what we've got because that South D is getting a little soft. Okay, this one, I'm looking for good markers to use with this. We've got the throat clash. We've got a couple of marks below the B on the die. But I'm looking for something a little better than that to use. Something like a good old die crack or... Got some rather late die state coins here. This one has die scratches all over the obverse running northeast to southwest. Yeah, throat punch. I can tell you that Jessica is a very nice lady, but I would not put it past her to throat punch someone. This coin, no, it's not the die 1 because there's no marker between the 1 and the chin, and the RPM is not quite what number 1 was because I don't really see much of an upper split serif on this. It's more just a lower split serif. Now, I don't want to discount this one just because of a lack of markers. Okay, we've got some fuzzy line looking things going east and west between the 1 and the bottom of the bow tie. And I think I'm going to go ahead and call that the best marker I can find for now, along with a little die gouge coming off the east part of the 9, headed straight toward the bottom of the 5. There's a little die mark there. I'm not really seeing a whole lot worth discussing on this one with regard to markers. A crack by the ear. I mean, like a die crack? Let me check and see. Ah, that little thing on the front of the ear. That's not a crack, but it is a nice little die marker. That's a raised line. That's a die scratch. So yeah, we've got that little thing on the inside lobe of the ear. Alright, so we'll use that as the marker. Thank you very much. Now let me go through here and take a look at the reverse and see if anything happened on the reverse. We got some nice die scratches on the reverse. That would be a good marker. So we've got good markers on this coin. Now it's just a matter of finding more like it so we can find one where the mint mark is not damaged. Okay, here we go. That's coin number 5. So we've got 4 different dies that we're dealing with now. 4 coins in a row in this roll. Let's see what coin number 6 has to provide. This one's going to Shannon McCord as well. So let's take a look at coin number 6 now. And coin number 6 is going to be one of the known dies that we have already. I believe this is die number 1. Well, prove me wrong. Is this going to be another one of those 49S rolls where every single coin in the roll is an RPM and there's like 12 different RPMs in the roll and they're really hard to pick between one another? I think that's what we're running into here. We're running into a roll full of RPMs. This one's got north and south die scratches all over the obverse, and I don't think any of the other ones that we've had have had that. So this is a double split serif. To split upper and lower. It's pretty easy to see. And we don't have any huge obvious markers, but we do have a lot of die scratches on this one. A lot of die scratches running north and south. There's a pretty big one next to the Y there. Yeah, so we can use that as our basic marker for this one. Plus it's a slightly earlier die state than a lot of the other ones that I've seen. So because it's a slightly earlier die state, it would be a little bit easier to pick it out as for the doubling on the mint mark. And then we can just look over there and say, oh yeah, there's our die scratches. That's definitely die number 5 for the roll. Die number 5. Got 5 different RPMs now in this roll. 5 coins in a row. Number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, all RPMs. So far, we're counting a really high ratio of RPMs in this roll, so it's going pretty well. Techstar is next. Let's see what Techstar gets. And Techstar ends up with an RPM as well. This one is an RPM. This one is... oh, this one's got a huge crack on the head, and I don't believe we've run into that yet. So this one is yet another RPM. Yeah, we've got a big die crack on the shoulder. So this is yet another different RPM. We've got a die dot down there below the lapel. And so here we've got ourselves a relatively decent double split serif RPM. It's split on the upper and split on the lower. No spots left. Unfortunately, they've all been sold out. But this is something I plan on doing here into the future. Say that this roll was not one that I picked for a reveal, but I just picked it to pick it and go through it on camera. If I go through it on camera and you guys join me, I would find this roll and I'd say, okay, well, here's a coin, here's an RPM. I don't know what it is right now, but it is an RPM. He'll give me $1 for it. And then you'll come up and you'll bid $1, and I say I got $1 bid looking for $1.50, and then we just keep going up until the bidding stops, and then that coin becomes yours. So it's an instant auction from a roll. I'm thinking about doing that because I think it would be exciting. I think it would be fun. And then, of course, the normal coins. Should you guys want a normal coin for that date and mint, the normal coins, we can bid that way. Oh, I can't sell this. This one belongs to Techstar. Yes, Eric. And look at that. Your name comes out. Good thing I've got the next week off so I can work on this roll. Wish me well. Well. Unfortunately, we come out with the first non-RPM coin since coin number 1 in the roll. No doubling on this coin, do I see? Something strange going through the entire. You can see that line going right through the upper quarter of the coin. I can't really tell what that is, but it's some sort of a line. It looks like a clash mark, but it isn't. There's a die scratch going from the head to the U, crack going across the forehead. But we have ourselves a normal coin here. Hello, Andrew. Andy offers a buck and a quarter, and Tech says, I want it. It's mine. There's a nice little die dot above the E. You always practice looking for markers. Always practice trying to match up dies. It doesn't make any difference whether you found yourself a die variety or not. You want to make sure that you're practicing doing this, because practice makes perfect. It can take years to develop a good eye for looking for markers. Now, of course, looking for markers on a noted die, and you're trying to figure out, okay, well, is this RPM number 1 or RPM number 4? And you look at the markers that are listed for them, and of course, looking for those markers doesn't take a whole lot of extra effort. But when you're looking for markers on something for which you don't even know what that die is, that's when it becomes a little more difficult. And that's kind of how I do things. I look for the markers, I look for the doubling, I look for the markers. And then I try to match the doubling, and I look on any listing that I find that doubling, I look for the markers that I've already found. I don't necessarily look for markers on the coin that are listed in the guide. I look in the guide for markers I found on the coin. That helps keep me at ninja level on this. And if you want to be at ninja level, use the Schwartz, Luke. It is a science. It's a forensic science. It's an evidentiary-based science of being able to use known evidence to find something that matches something else by known evidence. So coin number 9 is not an RPM. It's not a double die. I'm going to set it off to the side with the other normal coins. Give them a little bit of company because there were only 2 of them in the roll so far. And Mr. Worley will get coin number 10 now. Coin number 10 goes to Mr. Worley, and we have another one of the really nice RPMs. Been told by a little birdie that this one is RPM number 2, which it very well could be. Kind of wish we were finding some RPM 1s in here. RPM 1 is an FS listed coin. It's very nice. It's a D over D over D north and south. It's almost 3 mint marks punched in succession of one another. Boom, boom, boom. So this one belongs to Mr. Worley. We've got ourselves a number of pretty nice looking markers on this, including that right there. You got a nice die scratch from the bottom of the O of to the end of the stem on the left wheat. Some nice die scratches in and around the E of 1. So yeah, we got ourselves a hit here. Really nice RPM. This was die number 2, if I'm not correct. Shoot me, but I think it was die number 2 for the day. I gotta get my little collector's hangman noose here and wear it and see. Nope, not die number 2. How about number 3? How about number 3? It is die number 3 for the day. That's what that one is. It matches coin number 4. So now number 10, number 4 are the same. One's for Paul Hampton, the other for James Worley. Now we move on to coin number 11. Coin number 11 here goes to Joe McBride. Let's see what Joe McBride gets. And it is an RPM. There's a split on the upper. There's a pretty nice looking split on the lower. So it's a split upper and lower serif. There is no way I'm going to be able to keep all these dice separated because I cannot remember the markers on each. It's got a nice die crack right there on the shoulder. So another die crack right there. That's a scratch on the lapel. Not a die crack. Die cracks on the head. And I'm not sure if we've seen this one before or not at this point. But we've definitely got plenty of markers to allow me to separate them later, so I'm just going to move this one off to the side, call it an RPM, and move on. Yeah, you guys think I'm such a ninja at this, but after I get 5 or 6 different dies, I start to lose focus. All I can do at this point is tell you whether you have an RPM or not. What, number 4 or number 5? I know I had another one with skull cracks, but I can't remember which one it was. This isn't the same die. This one's got a crack up in the hair above the ear. That was die number 4. Die number 5 is this one. But see, we end up playing this game all afternoon. This is not where I want to go with my show right now. So once we get past 6 or 7 dies, I kind of give up on trying to differentiate them. I just call them another RPM. So this one's another RPM. It goes with Joe McBride. We'll figure it out as time goes on here. I'm going to take die number 5, 6, and 7 and put them together all in one stack. I know that they're different dies, and I'll split them apart later. But for right now, they're just going to go in one stack. Chuck Patillo. Chuck Patillo gets... Oof. That's another one of the big RPMs there. That looks like RPM number 2, which is going to be die number 3 for the day. Somebody was saying that they felt really good about this roll earlier. I'm glad they said that because they put a good curse on this one. Good karma curse. You giving out good vibrations. This one's got a pretty weak strike though. Going for a record, are we? Well, we've only got 3 coins so far in this roll that are normal. The rest of them are all RPMs. So that's Chuck Patillo. Chuck Patillo gets coin number 12, now coin number 13. Lucky coin number 13 is Eric Beyer. Eric's had a couple of coins come up in this roll already. This one is probably, yes, it is an RPM. This one's an RPM, and it looks very unusual in that it may actually have an extra serif sticking out of the west side of the mint mark, but we definitely have a doubled serif thing going on. So this one's definitely another RPM. And this roll is definitely and quickly turning into the nightmare that was 1949S. I can almost guarantee you I'm going to hate 1954 DRPMs after I'm finished with this roll. But hey, I love this. I mean, this is great. Being able to come up with something for everybody, I love this. It did. Yeah, the Ender coin on this, I think it's the number 50 coin as it was opened. But the Ender coin came up with a RPM. It was one of these minor RPMs and came up on that. So there's another RPM for the roll. Now we got a Mr. Worley. Let's see what Mr. Worley gets. I'm going to bet probably an RPM. Okay, well I should learn to shut my mouth. This is not an RPM. No doubling on the mint mark. How about no? Well, pooh. No RPM on that coin. And take a look here. We have a pretty late die state reverse. You can tell that because everything's turning kind of soft. As we look through these coins, I'm sure that you can begin to see the difference in age between the dies on these different coins as we're going through the rolls. And number 14 is a normal coin. That's going to be for Mr. Worley. That is our 4th normal coin for the roll. Adam Chambers. Adam Chambers comes up next. And he gets... Well, I certainly didn't want to say it ahead of time. but this is a normal coin. Yep, Chuck, you can sit here and spin that coin around all day and all night long, and it's not going to turn into an RPM. So it's just time to move on, accept the loss, and go. It was told us when I played football, if you're in the fourth quarter and you're down by 50 points, you just accept the loss and move on. Figure out what you did wrong and do it right the next time. So we got nothing there. I think we've seen that die before because of all the die scratches on the reverse. And that one's for Adam Chambers. That's right, there's a couple of these. That one RPM that we're pulling out of here, the die number 3 for the day, that's one that Grandma can see. Hand it to her and she can see it. Wow. Another normal coin. What are we doing? Getting payback now? Somebody hit us up with more good karma. Now the normal obverse, let's take a look at the reverse and see if there's anything going on the reverse. I see here's some markers that are easy to tell. We'll know this die when we run into it again, that's for sure. I have a normal obverse and a whole bunch of die scratches going in a diagonal direction on the reverse. Or the reverse, whichever one you want to call it. Reverse, reverse. As a potato, potato, tomato, tomato. Laboratory or laboratory. However you want to pronounce it. Thank you, Mr. Pruitt. Have your kids do an RPM dance for me. Well, that's a big lob of something from nothing. We got another non-RPM here. Brian, hurry. Let's see, what do we have here on the inside of the 9? That's interesting. I don't quite know what that is. That looks like one heck of a die gouge. Kind of interesting, actually. What do we have on the Liberty? And anything in that direction? Nothing at all. Nothing to help me figure out what this die gouge is. I guess it is a die gouge in the 9. That was a very strange looking thing. We've run into this die before. I don't know how I didn't notice that before. But this double die crack running across the forehead and hair, I've seen this before. Let's see. Got nothing on the obverse or on the reverse on this coin. So it's going to go into the pile of normal coins. Mr. Farm Dog is going to get to join the other 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 coins that we have there now. 3 or 4 in a row now have been normal coins. Let's get back into the RPMs, please. And the next coin, coin number 18, is going to go to CVS. There we go. Now we're back in the RPMs. Thank you, Mr. Pruitt. Okay, thank you, Jessica. Is it more bad news or is it good news? You can tell me if it's bad news or good news. If it's bad news, I'll make this show last as long as I can. All right, here we go. The reverse on this one should be normal because all the rest of them are. I just want to make sure that there's not a huge struck through error or anything like that on the reverse. Got nothing I can see. And now coin number 18 is in the books. And CVS has himself a die number 3 for the day, which is probably going to turn out to be RPM number 2. Randy. We just got an RPM. Can we do it again? And we can. This one, I believe... No, maybe not. Here I thought this was an RPM, and I don't think it is now. No, this die is one that we haven't seen because it's got a big giant die gouge going all the way around the rim from the D of God all the way down to below Liberty. Not an RPM and not one that we have seen before, so this is yet another new die. Coin number 19 gives us another new die. Jessica, you're killing me, Smalls. Is it a good news or a bad news email? Or is it none of the above? Now, don't give me none of the above. It's not going to be a none of the above. Every time you read something that's news to you that someone sent to you on purpose, it's either going to be good or it's going to be bad. It's not going to be an indifferent. Hey, Hawkeye. Randy. It's a beautiful email? Okay. So that means it's good. Beauty isn't always good. Beauty can be evil. Look at the sirens. Okay, we had a normal coin there. I had to make sure that was a normal coin that I pulled off to the side. Put it into the regular coin bunch. Okay, Randy, let's try again. See how this works. Well, that is... Good Lord, that's not an RPM. Another not an RPM. We ran into a whole cluster of them together and we're getting really happy. Then all of a sudden we run into a whole cluster of nothing. This is another one, the exact same die we just pulled out. So we are reaffirming the fact that that is not a die variety. Thank you very much to the not a die variety Captain Obviouses. But we don't need to be pointed to the fact that we are not getting a die variety on a second example of a die pair in a row. And unfortunately, the same person. Sometimes it does you a lot of good to be back to back on a coin roll, and sometimes it doesn't. Still pretty coins, that's true. Here we go. Mr. Marshall. Mr. Marshall gets the next coin in the roll. What do we get for him? We get... Well, Randy, we had one of these before you came along, and we had one of these after you go away, so there's a sign for you. Oof, there's some rub on that coin. Some stacking rub. That's if you tilt it just right, that's going to be really, really bright. So you can see the grooves in it. So that's got a pretty heavy dig in the cheek. Still a red uncirculated coin, but well, I guess we all have to say goodbye to Randy. He's that guy in the crowd that's making the curse not work. It's like, dude, don't scare the ghosts away. That's what we're here for. All right, Mr. Marshall gets himself a die number 3 for the day, and you know why? He's not here. Jeff Dunn. Let's see what Jeff Dunn gets. Jeff Dunn got, as they would say in my school when I was growing up, he got nah. Of course, you can use that for nothing. You can also use it for now. Get over here, nah. I went to school in the South. Yeah, you can tell me all you want that my accent doesn't sound like a person from the South, but I am from the South. I was raised in Memphis, Tennessee. And when I want to, I can turn it on and give it to you full bore. We done seen this die. This die right here got this nice long scratch, and you can see it inside the S even. Goes all the way down to the R. So it goes down through the N to the S to the R. Mm-hmm. Sure enough. Alright then. That's going to be the next coin. This one's normal too. I'm going Jeff Dunn. Alright, what do we got coming up next? Coming up next, we've got Mr. Marshall again. He's going to be a good luck charm. Oh, it's a roof. Of course it's a roof. It's a root or a rut and a rough and an RPM. Let's see if I have any possibility, any chance in a million of being able to pick out the marker that I had initially picked out for this particular die. Because we gotta have a repeat die here. You know, I probably don't have the right markers picked for this one. I don't see any of the markers that I had been looking for. Well, it's a creek if it's making a noise in the floor, but it's a crick if you fish in it. We do have an RPM, but we do not have one that I recognize as any of the dies that we've already run into, so I'm going to just put this one off to the side as a definite RPM that'll have to be figured out later. Hello, Mr. McCord. You've gotten yourself some nice coins in this roll that you have not been attending. So you might want to turn right back out and leave, because it seems like the people who are here are not getting the luck of the people who are not here. There's from Mr. Paul Hamilton. Can't believe I screwed his name up on those cards. Let's see. Do we have or do we not have an RPM here? Looks like. See, that's one that I never really used. Warsh. Never used that. I don't know why. I grew up in South and I didn't use that term. No, see, this is the same as Randy's die. We're going to call this one Randy's die. Randy's die is the unfortunate non-RPM die that has the big die gouge going all the way around the periphery of the western third, or actually western half, of the design on the obverse. We're going to call that Randy's die. Because Randy's die is going to be a poor, pathetic little thing. Sorry, Mr. Hampton. Take it out on Randy. That's his die. West Virginia. There's a place for you. I love West Virginia. Hey, Scott. I'm in North Carolina. Steve A. Oh, looky there. Steve A gets himself a really nice one. This is that RPM number 2, I do believe. That's right, Randy. That's why I said it was Randy's die. Randy's die is the one that doesn't have anything on it. But when we hit it, we look at it very closely anyway, just in case it's going to change. I think maybe there's some chance it might change. This is a nice one for Steve A. Got a couple of little spots on this one. That's the first time I've really seen spots on any of these coins. Yeah, I'll do it. I'll do it for you. Oh, this coin's got spots. I don't like spots. Congrats to Steve. Hello, CVS. Scott Hall, what part of North Carolina? Tell me what part of North Carolina from which you hail. I say that's another word. Hail, that falls out of the sky. It's also where you come from. But it's also what you say when you say no to somebody and you really mean it. Hail nah. Just north of Greensboro, you're about an hour and a half away from me. There's another nice RPM here. This is not die number 1. I live in Morrisville, Cary area. Right between Durham and Raleigh. I am not even close to picking out which die this would be from. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, nice RPM. That's a really cool RPM. I'm going to stick it in a holder and put it in the pile with the other RPMs that I'm going to have a massive headache about later. Because right now, I don't have any ibuprofen sitting next to me to get rid of the headache. So I'm going to bring that on later after I can pop 4 ibuprofen and take a nap. And then I'll get up in a better mood and start picking through these. All right, that goes to Mr. Jeff Dunn. That's coin number 26 on the roll. DN. DN. Oh, look at that. There's another one. This is exciting. I like this. Y'all can do what you want. I'm going to sit here and look through my rolls. I'm going to pick me up an RPM or 2. See, I got one uncle. He likes to keep his beard trimmed up nice and drive around in Mercedes Benzes, wear expensive cologne. Then I got another uncle. He's got about 15 head of cattle out in his field. He raises crops. He lives on a farm about 60 acres, maybe 100. There's another one of the RPMs. Right there, you can see it in the upper serif. So I don't think I'm going to even try to pick out the markers because I don't think I'm going to be able to see them right now. So I will pick them out later. Did I say you sounded like that, Jessica? I don't think I did. You do have a few things that you say that definitely sound countrified. Things that make me wonder if you really came from Iowa or if you just were transplanted there as a little girl and didn't know that you moved from Louisiana. My wife says my accent changes depending on who I talk to. She says I get off the phone with my guys from New York and I'm talking like a New Yorker for the next hour. And I talk to my buddy in Louisiana and get off the phone talking like a Louisianan. That's to which I answered, "Shoo, I guarantee." Well, Randy got himself a minor RPM, but the problem with this one is it's got a big old hit right on the RPM. But you can see a double split serif and split upper and split lower. It is an RPM, but it does have a little bit of bang-up damage on it. But we can't always ask for everything. At least he didn't get Randy's die. It's either I say that or I get off the phone and she says, "You sound like you talking to Gary again." I have no idea what you're talking about. No idea. Or I don't have any idea. Got no idea what you're talking about. I figured I'd just give him a call while he's in the area. Hello, Arizona Coins. Now, see, there's Arizona. Now, Arizona is one of those places where there's not really any such thing as a local accent because nobody's from there. Everybody moved to there. So you have everything from New York to British Columbia, everything from California to Alaska. They all go to Arizona to get the nice, warm, dry air. 75 years ago, nobody lived in Arizona. The only people in Arizona were the people who started that place. The Aztecs and whatever else. Was that 75 years ago? Maybe the Navajo. Navajo and the Hopi. And the Pueblos. CBS got himself a nice RPM there. That's another example of that beautiful RPM, the really nice one that we've been picking out of this roll. Eric Buyer. Coin number 31. Do not try to adjust your set. The sounds you are hearing are real. Well, sorry about that, Mr. Buyer, but I got you nothing here. Got you a decent 1954 D Lincoln cent, but nothing beyond that. Got a couple of little spots on this one. And no die variety on the reverse either. That's why once in a while you hear me call it the reverse. As I'm from the South, and that's what they say. That's how they call it. Don't yet put it in reverse. Grandma's standing behind the car. The hell did I find? I found that it's normal. That's right. All right, here we go. Chuck Patillo. Chuck Patillo comes up next. Now, see, you guys know to laugh when I talk like that. Oh, there we go. Boom. But sometimes you hear other people talking like that and you don't know whether to laugh or cry. Yeah, because you got your people that the real living in America. Brings them a whole lot closer to home than having to worry about how they pronounce and spell their words. So I ain't very cosmopolitan, but I am a nice guy. That's right, Chucky. You got yourself a purty one. I seen it first. Mr. Hampton. See if I can give you any payback at all for spelling your name wrong. There we go. Got you a nice little RPM there. This one... Oh, I know we've seen this die. This one's got the die scratches running north and south through this area of the design. So I know I've seen this die before. This one's going to be pretty easy to pair with another coin in the roll, but I have absolutely no idea right now which coin that will be. Yeah, we got some cool looking coins here. But it'd be the wrong word. Was your boss George W. Bush? Love that guy, but he was about as dumb as a bag of hammers. Hawkeye. Is it you, Hawkeye? Oh, looky there. We got another one. This is loaded. Nice loaded roll. I love loaded rolls. This thing's chock-a-block full of nice RPMs. Yeah, we got poor Jessica over here breaking out into hives. If we had opened that roll, could you imagine how many nice RPMs we would have? Yeah, I can. Don't even have to imagine. I'm looking at them. And I'm happy and glad they're going out to collectors who will enjoy them. Hawkeye got himself one. A nice one. All right, next coin. Coin number 35. Coin number 35 will be going to Thomas. All right, y'all. Take a look here. We have, this is another RPM. Remember the little dot next to the D that I said could be the upper serif of another D? Well, there we go. There's another one. So we're back in the saddle again. Nice little RPMs. Lots of nice little RPMs in this roll that we're going to be giving out to collectors everywhere. I feel like Santa Claus. Yeah, Paul. Misspelt your name. Are you secretly watching because of me, or are you secretly watching because of you-know-who? The wife. You snuck off into a room all by yourself with your phone. You sitting on the toilet with your phone watching us? Yeah, somehow my little fingers got messed up. There's Bill 457. And during the last reveal, your little name cards came out. Instead of HAMPTON, it was HAPMTON. So you were Hatmaton. Not Hampton, but Hatmaton. Why is my focus is a little off? There we go. I was wondering, is that my eyesight, or am I getting blurry, or is it the screen? Well, this one's definitely another one of the RPMs. I see a split in the upper. There's a split in the upper and a split in the lower. It's kind of minor, but we'll have to pull this one out to the side, give it a gauge check with everything else, and see what we've got going on. I think this one's going to be more than half RPMs. There's CVS. CVS again. And CVS gets... well, this time it's a normal coin. So, CVS, nice seeing you, buddy. You have to leave now. We want to go back to having RPMs. Yeah, Santa Claus doesn't come back until November. That's when he starts bugging you guys for money. I tried stopping him this year, but it didn't work. So there's another little RPM, or was it a little RPM? I think it was an RPM for CVS. Here comes the next one out. This one's going to be Adam Chambers again. I think Adam Chambers is the guy who started this whole thing. Didn't get anything that first time around. There's that weird looking die gouge scratch thing again. No RPM, but we have a very unusual looking anomaly going on here. I do not believe that to be a date digit, so that's not another 9. It's not a double die at all, because there's nothing else around it that even supports the idea of double dice. So I think what we have there is just some sort of die damage that shows up. It's cool. See, I think this is another one of them right here running across the vest. Whatever that is, it's just how the die got hit somehow. Looks like it could be the rim. I'll take a better look at it later. Do an overlay on it and see if maybe that's a rim clash. Some chance of that. Could be a rim clash. You never know. Reverse looks normal. She isn't mean all the time just when you spend money. Nope, I'll correct you there. She isn't mean all the time, only when the mail shows up and it's got 4 heavy boxes. And she wants to know what you spent. Okay. I did not draw a name. Maybe I did. Did I draw a name for that? Did I draw a farm dog for that? I did that so fast, I fooled myself. Yep, CVS got the last coin, then Adam Chambers. So farm dog does get this coin. I don't know what I'm thinking. Box auctions coming up? Yep, there are going to be box auctions coming up. I'm going to take the next week to sort things out, get things sorted and put together. And I'm going to do another box auction full of rolls. There are going to be a number of mixed and off-quality rolls in boxes that I'll expect some pretty slim bidding on, but there will also be some original bank-wrapped rolls that I can stick in those boxes with the others. It's going to be another one of those deals where if I send you one box, you'll pay $8 shipping. If I send you 2 or more boxes, it'll be $14. So if you bid on 12 boxes, you're just going to pay $14 in shipping, and I'll take care of the rest. Not sure yet how many boxes I'll have, but it'll be toward the end of this month. And that was for Farm Dog. What about DDO2? Wasn't that RPM 5 as well? DDO2 RPM 5? Where am I seeing? Okay, so Eric Byer says DDO2 and 57D is sweet. Jessica Johnson. I don't know how I know stuff like that, and I don't seem to remember that the trash goes out on Tuesdays, and every other Tuesday is recycle day. I guess I've just got my priorities all lined out for me. This one is an RPM. He is an RPM for Deanne, so Deanne's going to get another RPM out of this crazy roll. You know, over half the coins in the roll turn out to be RPMs. And we got kind of a nothing going on with that one, except that it is an RPM, so we're going to get Deanne's name in it. We're going to put it in the stack that looks like a normal coin stack, but it's actually the RPM stack. Adam Chambers comes up next. And we have another one of those die gouge looking coins. We've got a little gouge up on the top of the 5. And then that broadcasts itself over to the 9 where it kind of curves down toward the rim. And then we've got another one over here that goes more or less straight across. I don't have any idea what those are. There's some sort of die damage. But it shows best inside the 9 of the date. We got nothing else with that particular coin. We're going to move it off to the side in the normal coin stack for Adam Chambers. And now. Coin number 4222. Joe McBride. Here's Joe's coin. He's got himself a little RPM. Another one of the minor RPMs that we're finding in this roll. And we look around and we see nothing else on this coin. It does have a minor RPM, so we're going to be putting this one in the RPM stack with the other RPMs to try to make this a record-breaking roll. I don't know what the record is, so if I don't know what the record is, I'm not really sure that I can tell that it's record-breaking. But we'll just call it that anyway. Because, well, if you guys believe it, I'll believe it. That makes a really good marketing tool. We just had a record-breaking roll. It had X number of RPMs in it. Everyone was happy. The room was ecstatic. The crowd went wild. Let's see what we got here. Well, okay, once in a while you have to have a coin that is not an RPM to go with the ones that do have RPMs. That makes the ones that do have RPMs valuable. So I had a guy who mows my yard. I've known him for 6 months or so. He was a 16-year-old kid. He comes over and his bush clippers don't work. So he says he was going to go home and make his dad get him another pair of bush clippers because the ones he was using are older than he is. I said, son, I got underwear older than you, but that's fine. Whenever you come back, come on back. So they came back a little bit later in the evening and Dad was with him. Dad's probably about my age, maybe even younger than me. And so I was talking with Dad, and Dad was a high school football coach, and he's a assistant principal at a school now. This one's also an RPM. See right up there on the top of the D? And he says, well, what is it that you do for a living? I said, well, I sell coins. He said, really? So I don't think I've ever met anybody that sells coins. So we had the garage door open anyway because he had his leaf blower plugged in the garage. And I showed him my copper wall. And he says, aren't you kind of worried about this? And I said, what do you mean? He says, about security. I said, well, here, I tell you what. I'll go inside, you go through and find the valuable ones and try to put them in your truck before I come back out with my shotgun. Okay? And he said, yeah, I guess I kind of see what you mean. I said, yeah. This is a pond that's got 1,000 decoys in it and only one real duck, and the police are 5 minutes away. Yeah, I kind of get what you're telling me. Yeah, so that's kind of how that works. I have a couple of 100,000 decoys. I have a few really valuable coins. And even if you know what you're doing, you're not going to have enough time to find the valuable ones before the goons get you and take you to the lockup over pennies. You want my pennies, just show up and tell me you want them. I'll load you down. I'll give you about 40 pounds of pennies to carry. Call the police. Something tells me Mr. Hampton might be a hoarder. Might be. Just saying. Nothing specific to confirm that statement. Hey, here's Jessica's coin. The Throat Clash. Throat Clash with a splitting headache. Jeremy, you want the pennies? I got a couple. What have I done for you guys? I've done 300 box sales. 300 boxes, and I've got another 100 boxes to go, at least. And that's before I'm depleted from one single buy that I made. No bullets? Give me back my bullets. Mr. Marshall, coin number 47. See what we run into for Mr. Marshall here. Well, it's going to be one of the minor RPMs. I can see the split in the upper serif off the reflection of the 9 and the date. And a nice little split on the bottom serif. So we got a cute little RPM going on right here. This is the one with the double die crack on the head. the double die crack. Double die crack. Yeah. I am not going to give up my day job to become a rapper. The new find on the 2020 cent, I didn't know there was really a new find. I know there's a couple of relatively minor relatively minor double die obverses known. I didn't know there would be anything else yet. Got nothing so far from Marshall on this one. Was this one an RPM? I think I did find an RPM on this. Someone's going to have to keep me track on this. Okay, yes, this is an RPM. So I'm going to put this in the RPM pile. The rest of Marshall's coins, I think all of Marshall's coins have been RPMs. Just about all of them. Okay, here we go. Coin number 48. We got 3 coins left. We're going to do coin number 48 now. Coin number 48 goes to Thomas. And Thomas is going to get another RPM. Look at that. Cute. Nice big upper split serif there. Let's see if the lower serif is really big and split too. They are. Really nice upper and lower split serif. We have run into this die before. I do recognize it. It's the earlier die state one. It's an earlier die state. I don't remember exactly what markers I was trying to use, or even if I gave up on markers by this point. But I know I've seen this die. Me, a hoarder? No, I may have a few extra items. A few extra items. See, my wife tried calling me a hoarder until I started showing her the money. When I started showing her that this makes money and it's inventory, it's not a hoard, she kind of lit up on my throat a little bit. She was pretty nasty about it for a while. Then she lit up on my throat. Let me start running wild again. Now, I'm a range-free chicken. I can do pretty much anything I want to do. I can eat the grain from either side of the yard, even on the same day. And, well, Mama has nothing to say about it because she knows I produce. Don't see any die varieties on this one. Unfortunately, I think we've run into a RPM-free zone here. No RPM on this coin. Throat punch me. I've never been throat punched, but I can tell you, I can imagine that's a pretty bad feeling. And no, Jessica, I don't need help with that. Jeff Dunn. Last coin in the roll goes to Jeff Dunn. And this one, ooh-wee, this one's a nice one. Okay, there are some flecks of stuff there. But this one is a nice ender. It is an RPM. Double split serif RPM. I believe it's the same die that I just ran into. But this one's kind of cute. This one's got some good color to it. It is an RPM. It is nice. And there's no big errors on the reverse, but there's also no spots on the reverse, which is important. Really nice coin. Nice coin, Mr. Dunn. All right, and there we go. That's all 50 coins in this roll. Now let's do the tally. Do the tally. Well, here's how I'm going to do this. I'm going to count up the normal coins. This is the normal coins in this roll. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. 17 normal coins, so that more than half the roll turned out to be RPMs. More than half the roll turned out to be RPMs. Now, of our smaller RPMs, the ones I'm going to have a fuss getting through, these are going to be coins numbered 2, 3, 50, 48, 47, 46, 45, 44, 42, 40, 37, 36, 35, 33, 29, 28. Oops, get back over here. 28, 26, 23, 13, 7, 6, 11, and 5. These are all minor RPMs. I'm going to go through this real quickly, and if you see your name, you see it. Get this damned light out of the way. There we go. That's what my problem was all along. Had that light shining down there. Okay, so there's... Here, let me do it this way. Okay, so if I flip by your name and you see your name, you know that you've got a minor RPM that I'm going to be looking up. That's those. And so here we go. We're going to count these up. This is all the minor RPMs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. So almost half the roll were minor RPMs. And then we have the one major RPM that we've come across in this roll. And that's going to be coins numbered 34, 32, 30, 27, 25, 21, 18, 12, 10, and 4. For a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 coins. 10 coins, major RPM. These are the names for that. And so there we go. So we had, what was that, 23 coins that were minor RPMs? Is that right? 23 coins? And then 10, so a total of 33 coins. With, that would be 17 coins that are normal. So 33 RPMs and 17 normal coins in this roll. And guess what, folks? I've only got about 40 minutes to my next broadcast. So I'm going to have to hit it real quick here. So I'm going to have to bail out on you guys. I appreciate you showing up. But I'm going to have to bail out now and move on so I can get the other done. Can you see the reverse of number 29? I don't really have time right now. I'm sorry. But I'm going to bail and I'm going to see you guys here in about 40 minutes. All right, I'll talk to you later. Have a good night. If you don't come back, have a great weekend. I'll see you later.